It's been a little bit longer than normal, but it's time for another monthly discussion, and as always, I wouldn't be able to do it with anybody else but Sam.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Thank you for coming back. I mean, you must like me or something.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
It would have been awkward if you said no. That's when you say, "No, stop calling me." But it's been a little, longer than usual because we didn't get together last month for, life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
But we are together now, and it's time to catch up on what happened in the last month. Or whatever. Whatever we normally do when we talk. So, one of the bigger parts of it is Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman taking over in some form or fashion as creative executive directors or whatever the heck their position is. When you first saw that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff were named to executive positions in the company, what did you think?
Well, I assumed it was storyline dictated to begin with, but that is not the truth. I would like to think that things are going to change. I'm like hopelessly as optimistic as I should be, I guess.
I could agree with that. I mean, I did see on your Twitter a few weeks ago that you actually tuned in to watch Raw. Which I think
Yeah, I've actually...
It was the first time in a long time, huh?
Yeah, I watched this week, too, which I never, I probably in 2-3 months I haven't watched. I'm actually, maybe watching SummerSlam,
Oh, I mean, you do get a free month on the WWE Network. For new subscribers.
I just go to other people's houses and use theirs.
Hey, smart. That is smart. Very smart. I haven't watched an episode of Raw or SmackDown for that matter probably since Raw 25.
Wow.
SmackDown, it's simply put that I get home too late from work to watch it. If I get home at 9:30 and SmackDown ends at 10, why the heck am I going to watch it? Oh, you can record it. With the fact that I'm working 6 days a week, I don't really have the time to sit there and just watch 2 hours of SmackDown or 3 hours of Raw. I mean, yes, okay, it's only probably an hour and a half or a little over 2 hours because you're fast forwarding through stuff that you don't want to watch on Raw, and same with SmackDown. But it's just the fact that doing that is the last thing on my mind. Because it's finding that place where you can just relax when you're home, where you're not thinking about work and you're thinking about what you want to do at home. And especially when you think you're not missing much, not watching, it makes it harder to want to watch. I think.
No, you're right.
It's also the fact that, continuity and they don't tell a long-term story, and there's, things change weekly. And it's if you're not going to let me get invested in something, why bother?
Exactly.
You know, I'm happy that people are giving them an opportunity, because I've given TNA countless opportunities over the years, like where I was optimistic that things would change, and they are in a better place now than they were. But it's just also the fact that I'm not going to sit there and watch if I don't think I'm going to be entertained. I'm not trying to be a mark, and I'm not saying, I'm for All Elite Wrestling now. Because I've only I only saw Double or Nothing. That's it. That's it. I have not seen Fyter Fest. I did not watch Fight for the Fallen, and I'm probably not going to watch All Out. I might, but I'm probably not. It's because, part of it is because I'm working. But the other part of it is, I'm not thinking ahead of time saying, I need to be home for that show. Yes, All Out maybe because, you have big matches on that show. But also, especially with pay-per-views, if you're going to be able to watch highlights, if you're going to be able to watch the match on YouTube, you're going to be able to watch the match on this site or that site. Or if you have the WWE Network, you don't have to be there when the pay-per-view's on. You could go on and watch it whenever you want. That's why I'm not making a big deal that's why I don't make a big deal about it anymore, of watching it the day that it comes out. Or the day that it happens, because you can watch it later on. But that's just my perspective. It's not that I'm not as big a fan anymore, it's just the fact that, wrestling in general, I can't just sit there and watch a 30-minute match knowing I have 87 other things to do.
No, there's nothing keeping you, interested anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not to say that, other companies or, if I wanted to go back and watch an old match or whatever the case. It's just the fact that, I wrote this down a while ago, and I'll ask now. When you were younger, is there a difference on how you view wrestling now as opposed to when you were growing up?
Yeah, it was a whole different ballgame, when I was growing up. I mean, I grew up with the Attitude Era. It meant something. Pay-per-views were, only, matches you wouldn't see all the time. You weren't seeing the same, 5 matches every, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they gave you a reason to watch the pay-per-views.
Yeah. It meant something. Now it's the same thing every day.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's also the fact that when we were growing up, we could sit there, watch wrestling for 3 hours, or 2 hours, or an hour, and be in the same position when we first started watching it as we are when we ended it. And not think, we could have been doing this, or we should have did that, or we should have did this, or we should have did that. Instead of sitting there and watching it and just relaxing and being entertained for 3 hours, it's not even that you're not entertained because of what you're watching, it's also because you can't just turn off your head for 3 hours anymore.
Yeah.
Because of obligations that come with being an adult. And I know, there are probably people out there that say, you're overreacting, or whatever the case is, and it's I firmly believe that I have a number of undiagnosed things. Maybe I do have ADD or ADHD or something to that effect, to where I can't focus on more than one thing at a time, or where I can't just relax. But it's also when I'm not entertained, I can't focus.
Yeah.
That's more why I don't watch anymore. And it's the fact that I also have so much to do now with work, taking up so much time, that when I have free time, I'm not thinking about sitting there and spending a half hour doing this. I'm thinking about spending 20 minutes doing this and 20 minutes doing that.
No, I totally get it.
I mean, I could also understand where people like Jim Cornette come out and are saying that it was better back in the day, and this and that. But it wasn't better back in the day because people didn't know what was going on. It was better back in the day because of what you said. They cared. They cared about what was going on television, and they weren't booking for a rating. They were booking to keep you coming back for next week. They had a long-term plan. It used to be where when they were talking about WrestleMania for 1 year, Vince would have the main event set for next year. And he would work backwards.
Yeah.
But they don't do that anymore. People would know 6 months in advance if they were winning a title. Now it's every 6 weeks you hear about somebody new who's pissed off backstage. It's like, how is that possible that things have gotten so bad that, how is it possible, number one, that it's 2019 and things have gotten so bad that Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman are the guys that are called in to save it? I mean, I'm not saying Paul Heyman is not a bad guy, because it seems like Paul, if anybody, has kept his ear to what works. But Eric has such a specific type of booking that would he be trusted like Paul would be under Vince? Because Paul's also been working there for the last 7 years. Eric really hasn't.
Yeah.
Well, I know you probably haven't heard a lot about it, or maybe you have, or maybe you haven't gone out of your way to find about stuff about it. But have you heard or read or seen anything about Shawn Spears and Cody Rhodes?
Not very much.
Well, then I'll phrase it like, did you ever think when Ty Dillinger was in WWE that he had what it took to be a main eventer?
No.
I agree. What do you think he was missing?
I mean, I think it's because WWE never gave him really an opportunity on the main roster, and I didn't watch NXT, so I don't know if he's really missing anything. It's just I never saw, I saw him as lower card and
Well, in my opinion, the best way I think I can say it, what I think he was missing was just a confidence. Just a confidence that, a guy like Roman Reigns has, or a guy like Seth Rollins has, that he can go out there and entertain and, be more than like a comedy guy. Because I think that's what Ty Dillinger was, just a comedy guy to get a reaction. Not a main eventer. Or, I also think Ty Dillinger was a perfect example of somebody who could have benefited from having a manager. Somebody to get heat for him. Like the New Day. I think that's the only reason why the New Day worked, is because they have people who are charismatic enough in there that they work. But that's the benefit of having a manager. You have somebody who gets the heat for you. You don't have to work as hard to get heat for yourself if you don't have what it takes. God forbid if Shawn Spears is watching this. I don't think he is, but I think it is also that WWE never gave him the opportunity, because in AEW I'm seeing more of a same type of thing that you see from Jon Moxley now, that he seems more confident, more relaxed than they did in WWE. And maybe that comes with more freedom? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know. No, had it in it, right. I just think WWE is very restricting.
I agree. I agree completely. I think that if they relaxed a little bit in WWE, then they would be able to maintain more talent.
Yeah.
And just have the ability to give them a chance. Just sink or swim. Because that's how you find the big stars. You don't find the big stars by restricting them. You find the big stars by letting them be themselves. Speaking of big stars, there's a rumor going around. Roman Reigns could be walking away from WWE. Or toning down his schedule with WWE.
I heard that.
Like, he's not going to be shifting back to a full-time schedule. He's going to be keeping the schedule that he has now and not be featured in a big role anymore. Because also he got bit by the acting bug when he was with Rock on the Fast and the Furious spinoff. First, how much of a big blow to WWE is that losing Roman, and do you think, can you blame Roman for wanting to step back this young?
No, I don't blame him. I'm considering his health.
Where do you have those?
I honestly think he came back too early.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't blame him for taking a step back. And,
okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's that big. He was gone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's that big, but, and like an issue for him to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would hurt, the product, but not. I think they can survive without him.
I think they could survive without him if they let somebody be him. Like, let somebody be the big... Because even though Roman wasn't Seth in the ring, he had the charisma about him. And Seth, it's not that Seth has never had charisma, he is very charismatic, but he just never got that push like a Roman or a Cena did to be the guy. And Daniel, you don't know if he can be, because he's, still a question mark in my opinion. And that's why I think you gotta get a guy like Miz into a bigger spotlight, because Miz is perfect for the role that Roman has. Because finally you have him over as a babyface, and you have Miz feuding with Dolph Ziggler again. Why isn't he like right up there with Roman? Why isn't he, challenging for the WWE title? Because you have him on a USA Network show, you have him out there in the public eye, they have, promo videos for the Miz and Mrs. and this and that. Why not give your WWE title, or at least a championship, to the guy who's a mainstream star?
Yep.
Especially Miz, who's done great stuff and been one of WWE's best guys in the last 5 years. That's just my opinion, though.
Because they want to push, the same three people.
I guess you're not ready to give them a big chance yet, huh? Because it seems like you want that to change more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, Alexa Bliss is fighting for the title again. Like, same thing I, tuned out of.
You're coming back and it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand that, and I can agree with that, because I'm the same way, that they need to better understand what worked and what didn't, and what's working and what's not. But it's like, that's why I said what they need to do is just reset. When Paul and Eric came in, they should have reset the company. Even if they don't vacate all the titles, just vacate the mid-card titles. You know, the United States and Intercontinental. Then you have tournaments on Raw and a tournament on SmackDown for the Intercontinental and the United States title. And then you have like a battle royal for one, or you know, one of the world titles, or not to crown a new world champion, to crown a number one contender. Because then you have content for the mid-card titles, you have a feud for the world title, do something, you know, maybe a championship chase for the women's title. You know, fatal four-way, and whoever, you know, if the champion loses, she can lose the title, but then next week she can win back the title, or something, I don't know. Or maybe a championship chase for the tag team titles, because they never defend the tag team titles. Or something to that effect. Or what, you know, just figure out ideas of how to get content, and just eliminate all the feuds and start over. You know, maybe they'll do that after SummerSlam, because maybe they were actually building to SummerSlam. But, you know, I think it starts with a wildcard rule. Get rid of the wildcard rule. If you want to keep the brand split, you gotta get rid of the wildcard rule.
Yeah, that definitely needs to go.
I would have been okay with it if they had, you know, a few champions and let the champions do the wildcard rule. Because then it gives you a reason why the wildcard rule exists. That the champions have the ability to jump between brands. That makes sense.
Yep.
But also when you have 2 world champions, 2 mid-card champions, a cruiserweight champion, a women's champion, 2 women's champions, a women's tag team champion, and a 24/7 champion, it's hard to justify that many people can jump between brands.
No, you're right.
But when you see Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns and all these guys jumping between brands, it's like, well, what gives them the right to jump between brands? Shane McMahon can because he's an authority figure. But why is Roman able to? Unless he was a free agent. That's the only way people should be able to jump between brands. You know, now they want to get rid of it because they want to save the big moments for Survivor Series. I mean, you kind of expended a lot of those big moments in the month or 2 months, or however many months you've experimented with this wildcard rule. You've expended a lot of it. It wasn't a bad idea, in my opinion. It just could have been done a lot better. Because WWE doesn't seem to think logically. Or where they don't think they have to justify what they're doing and give a reason for it. Which I know I'm not exactly the top person to be talking about thinking logically, but when it comes to wrestling, I seem to think more logically than people that are in wrestling. I know both of us don't have, USA Network breathing down our necks, and wrestlers breathing down our necks, and stockholders breathing down our necks. And it would be different and more stressful if that situation was the case, but that's why we're Monday morning quarterbacking as opposed to actually doing it. I'm not saying I'd do a better job than they would, because I'm not in that position, but it's just the fact that if all it takes is just stepping back and thinking, because a lot of the people in that position have been in that position for long enough to know what works and what doesn't. And to where all they have to do is just step back and think. Long-term booking normally works in wrestling. Even if it doesn't work week 1, it could work week 16. Just gotta give it a chance. Because also that would be a welcome sight in WWE, because it hasn't been there for so long that people would be surprised that they actually have a long-term plan with somebody. Especially if it's somebody like Rusev or somebody like Finn Balor or somebody else that hasn't been booked. Because not only are you seeing a fresh star, you're seeing fresh booking. And you're allowing the guy to build momentum and get over and get attention and get a reaction, which is something they haven't done. Because I'll just point this out. What, in your opinion, had they booked Steve Austin back then like they book people now, would Steve Austin be a bigger star like he is?
Probably not.
How about The Rock?
Probably not.
Mankind?
would say to anybody.
I know, I was just going to keep naming names to see how long we could go. But that's what I mean. It's just, if they booked how they booked then, how they booked now then, we wouldn't have the legends that we have now. And I'm not saying it's Vince Russo. Because Vince Russo was not the only person on the creative team. Corny was, Jim Ross was, Bruce Pritchard was, Pat Patterson was, people were on the team other than him. He was just writing television. He wasn't the only one coming up with feuds and ideas. And also, Vince. And you also had guys like Austin coming up with ideas, and Rock coming up with ideas, and Hunter coming up with ideas, and Shawn and Mankind coming up with ideas, and Taker. I'm not saying people don't do that now. I don't know. But you don't have the same... You would think that nowadays you would have more of an open door of, this was Kevin Owens' idea, or this was John Cena's idea, or this was this guy's idea. But you don't get that open door that you would think you would get with dirt sheets nowadays. But you get more of it, like, as stories from back in the day of, this was Shawn Michaels' idea, or Mankind's, or whoever's. And it's like you would think that you would get more of that now because of how open the business is, that you would hear, Kevin say, this was Kevin's idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you get it with, guys like Jericho on his podcast, or guys like that go on podcast. But I just thought it would happen more than it has. Because of how open the business is nowadays. And it's just the fact that, like, I'm not saying that Vince Russo was bad, because he did have his moments. But I don't think Vince Russo could work now. His type of booking that worked back then. Because I can understand his booking of, you gotta keep it quick and short on television to keep people's attention and keep them on television, on our network. But nowadays, people want wrestling. People want to be entertained, and people are entertained by wrestling. And also segments, but more wrestling. Russo doesn't know how to book a more specific wrestling show. He proved that with WCW. WCW was always more focused on wrestling and more fixated on wrestling than the segments, and then the out-of-the-ring segments, because most of their out-of-the-ring segments was interview segments. And that's why they needed people that knew how to talk and not write full promos, bullet points. Now, it was different in WWE, but he didn't know how to book WCW. He knew how to book WWE, but I don't think he would know how to book now. Paul, Eric was always more entertainment. Paul was always more entertainment. Paul's been in the company for 7 years, and if anybody knows how to book WWE, it's somebody who's been there as long as Paul has. And Bruce Pritchard, if anybody knows how to book WWE, it's Bruce Pritchard. Because he's been a company guy even when he wasn't with the company. That's how he got back with the company. I think that it could be fixed, but it's just that WWE has to relax and realize they don't have competition. AEW is not competition. They're just another company. The only difference is that they have money backing them up. WWE just needs to relax, get a plan, stick to the plan, and then they'll be better. Instead of just making rash changes and rash decisions like they have.
No, you're 100%.
I don't know about you, but a lot of the times when I talk, I make myself sound smart, or make myself feel smart. Because it's just so logical, in my opinion, that the company doesn't pay attention to it is crazy to me. Because it's like, I mean, maybe they're not looking at it such in a simplistic way because they're a multi-million-dollar company. But how now? Would you say that some of the problems that WWE has is that everybody's trapped in the WWE bubble?
Yeah.
And that the only way to get really to the root of the problem is to get out of the bubble, then go back in the bubble.
No, 100%.
I mean, I know but I know that it's, oh, why would you go back in the bubble? Well, you get the perspective of what it's like outside the bubble to bring it back in and report it back to the people that are in the bubble. I don't know that Paul has ever been in the bubble. I don't know if Eric's in the bubble. But the more in the bubble you are, the more you're thinking that quick, rash decisions are going to work better than non-quick decisions. And I don't think they're going to be in trouble when they move to Fox, because I don't think Fox is going to let them do crazy decisions. I think Fox is going to want them to have plans set in stone and stick to them. But it's just the idea, because basically Fox is making the investment, and they're going to stick to the investment, because they're not going to waste $1 billion. Which is crazy to me that they even paid WWE that much money to get them. But that's how much they believe in WWE. That's how much they believe in the brand. That's also how much they're going to miss UFC. Or that's how much they miss UFC. Because I do wonder, and I can, I don't know if we've talked about this, but do you think that if SmackDown didn't get Fox, that SmackDown would have moved to the network? Or do you think that WWE would have still tried to find an actual cable channel to get SmackDown so they had another network more programming to be able to promote the network?
I don't know. Well, they're trying to move out of, like, the PG era. I think Fox is good for them.
I agree. I agree, because they are trying to recapture some of the teenage audience to keep them away from AEW. But it's just like, with the current political climate, you can't be as edgy as you were back in the day. Like, what's the difference between edgy and cheesy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, this guy said a curse in his promo. Yeah, but what's the point? Did he just say it for saying it, like Shane Douglas, or did he say it for a reason? Was he trying to raise the intensity of the feud? Like, somebody tries to tell me that blood is a necessity, it needs to be a necessity. I'm like, no. If blood comes back, that's great, but it needs to be for a reason. It needs to only be used for a reason, otherwise it won't get that pop anymore. It needs to be used to put over a storyline. It needs to be used to put over a guy as dangerous because he's making this guy bleed out of his mouth. Or bleed out of his head, or whatever. It needs to it needs to be used for a purpose. Not just for the sake of, oh, it's a tool to make people pop in a match. It's like, no, you want to do it? One person does it. Once in a while. That's it. Do it for a storyline. Do it for a feud. Do it to put somebody over. But don't do it just for the sake of doing it, because that's stupid.
Yeah. No, it used to mean, again, something. It happened.
Is it just me, or do we sound like, Jim Cornette clones of, oh, it was bad, back in my day, it was better.
Yeah, I know.
Back in my day, things used to mean something. We're only in our 20s and we're sounding like we're 80.
I'm almost.
No, you're not. You're not even close. You have the complexion of a younger person.
I look 12. I just look 28.
Well, I mean that does come. You're 27 now, so you are going to end up you're going to eventually be 28. Just like I'm eventually going to be 26. But before you know it, we're going to be telling kids, "Get off my lawn."
Yep.
Yeah. Back in the day, kids my age didn't even go outside. We just worked and went back, came home and went to sleep, got up and went to work again. No time for anything but wrestling or work. And complaining about wrestling and how it was better when I was younger. I mean, it is also weird though, because it's like, people would say, non-wrestling fans, I should say. They would say, "Oh, if you're complaining this much about it, then why do you even watch it?" And it's like, it's sort of like, it's sort of like we're in a relationship with wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's one of those relationships where you're thinking, "Oh, it'll be better this time. It'll be better this time. It'll be better this time. Oh, I can't leave yet. I gotta give them another chance."
Oh, trust me, I've literally been there. They're gonna change. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sit around waiting to change.
Yeah.
They don't change. But you don't leave.
But the only difference is, I'll leave a girlfriend, you'll leave a boyfriend. We'll never leave wrestling.
No, I've been with one consistent thing in my life.
Yep. That's when the next time somebody asks if I'm in a relationship, I should say, "Yes, I've been in a relationship for 20 years.
Yeah. It's been the one constant.
Yep.
I mean, recently hasn't let me down,
Yeah. Well, wrestling's never let me down. I just lowered my expectations.
Been with me through bad boyfriends and depression, and it's been there for me.
It's been with me through being single and depression and being single and more depression and unemployed and just, loneliness and, I mean, even now is finding a different aspect of wrestling to be interested in, and that's writing. And even though you don't watch, you still write because of what you learned when you were first a fan. That doesn't change the fact that you have an opinion on it. And especially when all you have to do is just go on the internet and look stuff up, and then you have an opinion and you know what's going on. Or watch a video and you know what's going on. Or in your case, go to a friend's house and, watch it on the network.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the other thing, that even though wrestling disappoints, it still gives us good things. Good people, good moments. Many of the reasons why we say it was better when we were younger.
Yep.
Opportunities, to write, to talk, to watch, to, 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 watch. without wrestling, we wouldn't be talking right now.
No. I made a really good friend through wrestling. And I we met on, also social media, but, wrestling. And even though she doesn't really, watch anymore, we're still friends. I made a lifelong friendship.
Yeah. I mean, I've been friends with some people that I haven't even met for, I think, 4 years now? Or 5 years? No, 4 years now. And I feel like we're as close as people that I live close to.
Yeah.
And, well, I'm probably closer to them than people I went to high school with, but that doesn't say much about people I went to high school with.
No, yeah, I hated people I went to high school with.
Yeah. Anybody I went to high school with that's actually watching this, you probably knew. But, that's where it's, just with even us. I mean, I wouldn't, I'm glad we found each other. I'm glad we had the connection with wrestling, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy our conversations.
Me too. Even though wrestling gets on my nerves, I enjoy talking about it.
Again, it's gonna change. It'll get better.
It's literally deja vu.
Yeah.
I swear we've been through this before.
I probably have, even if it's in my own mind.
I just went through this with my job. It's the same thing.
Oh yeah, I've been through it with my job.
Things will get better, I know they will.
I gave up a long time ago. I gave up a long time ago with my job. I'm just too lazy to find a new one. Well, no, it's not that I'm too lazy to find a new one. It's not the fact that I try, nobody calls back. Makes you sad, you turn to wrestling.
Yeah.
There you go.
See, I'm in a really, anxious state of moving from one job to another. And wrestling will still be there for me.
Or alcohol.
Or alcohol.
Either one. Both have a love-hate relationship. At least I do. I hate it, but I keep going back to it. Well, I mean, every other time we've talked, I've given an update on the book, and the update on the book is that it'll be out eventually. I'm working on it. I took a break this past week, and this is to anybody who's actually cares that's also listening or watching or however you're hearing this. I took a break, went on vacation, reset, recharged. Nothing came with me. The book didn't. I did one post when I was away. That was it. Because I wanted to relax, drink, smoke, and enjoy my vacation. And I drank a lot, I smoked a lot, and I enjoyed my vacation. As far as the book, I'm almost done with the final edits. It'll be out eventually. It's not coming out, it's just coming out eventually. Once the promotional material starts hitting the show, hitting however I'm going to be putting out the promotional material, then that's what'll happen. I will say that an OTB newsletter, yes, OTB is still a thing. An OTB newsletter will be coming out very soon. I was going to put it out last week, but again, I went on vacation. It was on my computer at home, not on my laptop, so I couldn't put it out. But starting this month, we're going to be having an OTB newsletter, and also, since you're on the phone with me, I can ask, would you want to write for that?
Yeah.
Just once a month. That's it. It's not a weekly thing, it's a monthly thing. So you would have an incredible amount of time to come up with an article and write about whatever you want. even if it's just a small thing or a big thing, you know, I did one all by, you know, I did it all by myself. But, yeah, I mean, if you want to jump in too, I would be more than happy to. Well, obviously, I wouldn't have brought it up to you if I didn't want you to. I want to know if you wanted to help. But either way, well, with the small updates, I now can say it's time to wrap it up. And again, as always, thank you for coming back. I mean, I don't know. You must either, well, I can't make the same joke twice, so I'm just going to say thank you for continuing to come back.
Thank you again. I love talking about wrestling, even though it amuses me.
I do too, and I hope you all enjoy hearing us talk about wrestling, even if it seems like we're just marks talking about what we know, talking like we know better than what the people in the business actually know. Let me know down in the comment section below if you want to express your opinion on what we talked about. Leave a comment, subscribe. Leave a comment, or if you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to subscribe, like the video. And don't forget to, as always, ding dong that notification bell for when a new video comes up on the channel. Whenever that is. Till next time.